Let me ask you something. When was the last time you surprised yourself? Not with a birthday party or a gift, but with something your body or your mind could still do, something you thought you might have lost forever. Maybe you bent down to tie your shoe and stood back up easily. Or maybe you remembered a name, a full name, from a conversation last week. Or perhaps, just yesterday, you walked up a flight of stairs without pausing to catch your breath. If that sounds like you, you're not just lucky. You're doing something right. And if it doesn't sound like you, don't worry. Because today, we're going to talk about 8 powerful signs that you're not only aging well, you're thriving. And if you're not quite there yet, we'll talk about how to get back on track. Because it is never too late to strengthen your body, sharpen your mind, and reclaim your independence. Let me introduce you to someone. Her name is Irene. She's 78. And she's going to help us walk through each sign with a few stories along the way. Sign 1. You can rise from a chair without using your hands. It started like any other evening. Irene, now 73, had just finished dinner with her husband. Nothing unusual on her plate. Nothing out of the ordinary in the conversation. But as she tried to stand from her chair, something didn't feel right. She leaned forward, placed her hands on the table, and gave a little push to lift herself up. It didn't hurt, but it wasn't effortless either. It felt like her legs were hesitating. Like they didn't trust themselves anymore. She shrugged it off at first. "I'm just tired today," she told herself. But at her next doctor's appointment, she mentioned it, casually, as if it were nothing. That's when her doctor looked at her gently and said something she would carry with her for a long time. "Strong legs are what keep you out of hospital bed." Irene paused. The words were simple, but they hit deep. The doctor explained that being able to rise from a chair without using your hands may seem like a small thing, but it's not. It shows that your legs are still strong, your balance is still solid, and your body still remembers how to work together. That one movement is a sign, a warning, and sometimes a second chance. Falls, he told her, are the number one reason older adults end up in the emergency room. And too often, that first fall changes everything. Mobility, independence, even confidence. So Irene made a choice. Nothing drastic, nothing painful, just one change. Every morning, right before brushing her teeth, she sat down in her favorite armchair and stood up. 5 times. No hands, just legs and focus. At first, it was shaky. Her knees wobbled, her balance swayed, but she kept going. Every day, 5 sit-to-stands, no matter what. 2 months later, she didn't need the table anymore. She stood up smoothly, with strength and certainty. It wasn't just her body that felt stronger, it was her confidence. And that, more than anything, made her feel like herself again. Sign 2. You can walk quickly without losing your breath. There was a time when Irene greeted every morning with a leash in hand and a spring in her step. Her golden retriever, Max, wagged his tail excitedly as they strolled around the block. They had a rhythm, a quiet joy in those shared walks. But one spring morning, something changed. Irene noticed she was pausing, not to admire the flowers or greet neighbors, but to catch her breath. Max would turn back, waiting patiently while Irene tried not to show her fatigue. The hill at the end of the street, once a breeze, now felt like a mountain. She didn't panic, but she knew she had to do something. So Irene started small, just 10 minutes a day. She walked 1 block, just a little faster than usual. At first, it was tough. She felt every step, but slowly, day by day, her breathing became more even. Her chest felt lighter, her legs stronger. Weeks passed. Her walks grew longer, her pace quicker. And one morning, as Max trotted beside her, tail swaying, Irene caught sight of her reflection in a shop window. She was smiling, not because she had to, but because she felt proud. If you're finding yourself short of breath when walking to the mailbox, the grocery store, or the kitchen, you're not alone. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Start where you are. Move just a little faster. Each step builds strength. Each breath gets easier. And one day, you'll realize you're not just walking again. You're living again. Sign 3. You can balance on 1 foot for 10 seconds. No one talks about balance until they almost lose it. For Irene, it was a quiet Tuesday morning. She was getting dressed. Same as always. But as she lifted one foot to put on a sock, she wobbled. She reached for the dresser. She didn't fall, but the scare stayed with her. She thought, was this how it starts? That moment became her wake-up call. The next morning, she stood near the kitchen counter and tried again, one foot up, just for a few seconds. The first time, she was shaky, but she didn't stop. 10 seconds. Each day. Soon, her body remembered. Her legs steadied. Her core engaged. Her eyes focused. She felt more sure on her feet, not just when standing still, but stepping off curbs. Reaching for a top shelf, turning around without grabbing onto something. Now, it's her morning ritual, just like brushing her teeth. If you're unsure whether your balance is what it used to be, try it now. Stand near a counter or a chair. Lift one foot. Count to 10. Eyes open. If you're steady, that's a sign your nervous system, muscles, and vision are working in harmony. If not, that's okay. Balance, like strength, can be rebuilt. Slowly, safely, surely. You deserve to move through life without fear of falling. And it starts with just 10 seconds a day. Sign 4. You can get down to the floor and back up again. Irene always cherished her afternoons with her grandson. His laughter echoed through the room as they played blocks on the living room floor. It was her special time, simple, joyful, and grounding. But then, one day, as he eagerly called her over to play, she paused. Just for a second. I want to, she told him softly. But I'm not sure I can get back up. That moment stayed with her. It wasn't just about getting up from the floor. It was about what she might start losing if she didn't act. Her independence, her connection, her confidence. So Irene made a decision, a quiet one, just for herself. The next morning, she sat by her bed and practiced slowly getting down on one knee. It wasn't easy, but she tried again the next day and the day after that. She added light squats, using the edge of her bed for support. On some mornings, her knees complained. On others, her balance felt uncertain. But she kept going. Weeks later, her grandson called her to play again. This time, she joined him on the floor. She laughed, stacked the blocks, and, without holding on to anything, she stood back up. That small act felt enormous. Getting off the floor isn't about being young. It's about having mobility, flexibility, and strength in your legs. And those things aren't gone forever. They can be rebuilt slowly and steadily at any age. Irene is living proof. Sign 5. You can carry a full grocery bag without straining. The grocery store used to be Irene's little escape. A quiet walk through the aisles, choosing her favorites, planning meals. But over time, something changed. The cans of soup seemed heavier. A gallon of milk, once an easy grab, now felt like lifting a stone. She found herself asking the cashier for help more often. And every time she did, it chipped away at a sense of self she wasn't ready to give up. That's when she knew she needed to take action. Not for anyone else, just for herself. She started small. Soup cans became her weights. She'd lift them gently over her shoulders while watching the news. A tennis ball sat on her side table. She squeezed it every evening to build grip strength. Wrist curls, shoulder rolls, even simple stretches for her fingers. Nothing fancy, just consistent. 30 days later, she walked out of the grocery store with both hands full. No help, no hesitation, just strength. It wasn't about pride. It was about being able to do what she wanted, when she wanted, without needing someone else. That freedom mattered more than she'd realized. Grip strength isn't just about lifting things. It's one of the strongest indicators of overall health and vitality. And it's something you can restore with just a few minutes a day. Sign 6. You can climb stairs without stopping. There was a time when Irene always looked for the elevator. Stairs? They felt like a mountain. Her knees ached. Her breath shortened halfway up. So, she avoided them. But one rainy Thursday, something unexpected happened. Irene arrived at her doctor's office, only to find the elevator broken. She stood at the bottom of the staircase, clutching her umbrella, debating whether to go in or head back home. The thought of climbing even one flight overwhelmed her. But that moment, small as it seemed, changed everything. She didn't want to feel that helpless again. The next morning, Irene started small. 1 step up, 1 step down. The day after, 2 steps, then 10. She added gentle stretches, a few leg lifts while brushing her teeth, and easy indoor walks during commercials. Weeks passed. Her breathing got steadier. Her legs felt stronger. And slowly, a quiet pride began to return. Today, Irene chooses stairs. She no longer fears them. They remind her she still has control over her strength, her stamina, her independence. Climbing stairs may seem like a simple thing, but if you can do it without stopping, your heart, lungs, and legs are working in harmony. And if not yet, just like Irene, you could begin with one step. Don't wait for life to push you into change. Take that first step now. Sign 7. You remember conversations clearly. One evening after dinner, Irene sat beside her daughter, the soft hum of a jazz record playing in the background. "Did I already tell you that story?" she asked, a little unsure. "No, Mom," her daughter smiled, "but it was a good one." That moment mattered more than her daughter knew. For Irene, it was a quiet reassurance that her mind was still sharp. She had started little habits to keep it that way. Every morning, a chapter of a novel with her coffee. Every afternoon, a crossword puzzle at the kitchen table. Evenings were for phone chats with old friends or learning something new, like how to use video calls to see her grandson smile. She knew that memory, like muscles, needed exercise. She also knew the worry that came when she forgot a word mid-sentence or paused a beat too long to recall a name. But she learned not to panic. A little mental fog doesn't mean it's the end. It's a sign to give the brain a gentle nudge. So she kept walking, kept watching, kept engaging, because she learned that even something as simple as a daily stroll could boost blood flow to the brain, and with it, clarity and connection. If you're still remembering names, stories, and details, you're doing more than just getting by. You're thriving. And if things feel a little fuzzy now and then, that's okay. Just like Irene, you can choose to keep your mind active and strong, one thoughtful step at a time. Sign 8. You wake up feeling rested. For a long time, Irene thought feeling tired in the morning was just part of getting older. After all, she was in her late 60s, retired, and tried to enjoy the quieter pace of life. But even with 8 hours spent in bed every night, she still woke up feeling groggy, stiff, and unmotivated to start the day. It wasn't exhaustion exactly. It was something more subtle, a kind of dull fatigue that never fully went away. At first, she blamed age. "This is just how things are now," she told herself. But something didn't sit right. Why was it that some mornings felt better than others? Why did she sometimes wake up with a clearer mind and more energy, without changing how long she slept? That's when Irene began paying closer attention. Not to how long she was sleeping, but to how well. She started small. One afternoon, she skipped her usual cup of coffee after lunch. It was hard at first. Those early evening hours felt sluggish. But she noticed she fell asleep a little easier that night. Then she made another change. Around dinner time, she began dimming the lights in the house. It was a quiet cue to her body that the day was winding down. Next, she committed to a simple bedtime routine. No screens, just a book, a warm shower, and a few deep breaths. It didn't happen overnight, but slowly, her sleep changed. Now, Irene wakes up before her alarm. Not startled, not heavy, just awake, rested. Sometimes, she even finds herself humming a tune while making breakfast, something she hadn't done in years. She's noticed other things too. Her mood is steadier. Her joints feel less achy. She's more patient with her grandkids, more present in conversations, and she even caught herself laughing more. Sleep, she realized, isn't a luxury. It's necessary. It's how the body repairs, restores, and recharges, especially as we age. Good sleep supports the heart, strengthens the immune system, and keeps emotions from spiraling. It's not about chasing perfection. It's about listening to the quiet signals your body sends. If you're waking up still tired, even after a full night in bed, that's not something to ignore. It could be your body asking for a little more care. A few small changes, like Irene made, might be all it takes to turn your mornings around. Because waking up rested isn't just about sleep. It's about getting your life back, one peaceful morning at a time. Final thoughts. Where do you stand? So, how many of these signs do you still see in yourself? Whether it's one or all 8. Every sign is a signal, a message from your body about how you're doing and where you might need to improve. But here's the beautiful truth. You can improve at any age. Start with one small action, a daily walk, a 10-second balance test, reading one article, lifting one can. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers, but always counts. If you found this helpful, let us know in the comments. Which of these 8 signs surprised you? Which one will you work on first? Your journey matters, and we'll be here to walk beside you.